The Second Vatican Council is an assembly of Roman Catholic religious leaders that are meant to settle doctrinal issues. Cultural changes in the aftermath of World War II spelled the need to consider church practices. These meetings laid the foundation for the Church as we know it today. The Second Vatican Council, having probed more profoundly into the mysteries of the Church, now addresses itself without hesitation not only to the sons of the Church and to all who invoke the name of Christ, but to the whole of humanity. For the Council yearns to explain to everyone how it conceives of the presence and activity of the Church in the world of today. The Council esteemed conjugal love as a sign to others of Christ's own love for the Church, and today it is not uncommon for Church leaders to insist that the entire Church benefit from the love within committed marriage, and that a thoughtful society needs to witness the possibility of such love.
The Second Vatican Council had several scripture references in creating their written constitutions, encyclicals, and the like. They are the basis in synthesizing different principles and guidelines for the Church to follow. Some of these are the following. Genesis 1 tells about God's creation of the whole universe, including the creation of man and women and their roles. In verses 26 and 27, it emphasizes how humans were made. We are all created in the image and likeness of God, therefore it forms our human dignity. We are all very alike in many ways. We are also tasked to have dominion over other creatures of the world. That means we stand out above the living creatures of the world. In Genesis 2, it mentions the role of women. The Lord formed every living creature, but there was no creature compatible for Adam, and so he created a woman out of the man's rib, and called her woman. It mentions the role of marriage. Male and female marry and become one flesh, as explained in verse 24. Marriage reunites the two human beings. In Ephesians 5, it also mentioned that couples must remain clean and chaste, and also to walk uprightly. It also talked about how both husbands and wives must love one another, just like Jesus loved the church. Marriage, then, reflects the love of Jesus to his people. All these verses and many more reflect the beliefs of the Church.
The Second Vatican Council Constitution on the Church in the Modern World expressed the nobility of marriage and the family. Marriage is an authentic vocation or divine call for a lifetime. The joys and sacrifices of the spouses vocation, and through their faithful love, married people will become witness of the mystery of the love, which the love revealed to the world. The love of a husband and wife ought to grow and ripen. The sacrament of marriage, as the Constitution states, spouse must fulfill their conjugal and family obligation as they are penetrate with the Spirit of Christ with faith, hope, and love. The love is uniquely expressed and perfected through the appropriate enterprises of matrimony. Love remains steadfastly true in the body and in mind, in bright days or dark. It will never be profaned by adultery or divorce. The wife must be a helper to the husband, respect the husband, love the husband, and submit to the leadership of the husband. The husband must be a leader, love the wife unconditionally, and serve the wife. Spouses have the duty to keep confidential communications private. Marriage brings both financial and legal benefits as well as duties. Both spouses have rights and responsibilities that single people do not have. Support your husband or wife in sickness and in health. Once they have children, they should look after their moral training, proper guidance, and education.
Choosing a partner for life requires a wise decision and should be given a thought carefully. Marriage should be authentic enough and it should mirror how do husband and wife love each other and how they become one. True conjugal love is all about the happiness and the mutual respect. It should never be forced because in the end it can lead to pain and break relationship. Balance is important when it comes to relationships and especially in married lives. Same goes with the love of both husband and wife. When things go wrong and aren't balanced, one will end up feeling unhappy. Things ought to flow naturally, for we all know being happy is the ultimate goal and when you wouldn't have to force anything, especially if love and marriage are present in the situation. Vatican II Council realizes certain conditions where it often keeps couples from arranging their married lives. They end up seeing themselves in conditions where the measure of their families ought to not be expanded. As a result, the faithful exercise of love and the full intimacy of their lives is hard to maintain.
Divorce is also known as marital dissolution, and in a legal aspect, it is defined as a court decree that terminates marriages. This decree establishes the new relations, duties, and obligations of the parties involved in terms of properties, responsibilities, and provisions for any children. Divorce law also provides legal solutions for issues that the husband and wife are unable to resolve through mutual cooperation. When a divorce is granted, the resolution regarding obligations are simple. The wife will have the custody of the children and the husband is required to support them. In the early times, marriage and marriage resolution were considered as private matters. As Christianity spread, governments came under religious control and the Roman Catholic Church strictly forbade divorce. The only exception of these is when one of the parties had not been converted to Christianity before marriage. The most common traditional grounds for divorce were cruelty, desertion, and adultery. Other grounds included are non-support or neglect, alcoholism, drug addiction, insanity, criminal conviction, and voluntary. However, according to the Church, love is uniquely expressed and perfected through the appropriate enterprise of matrimony. The actions within marriage by which the couple are united intimately are noble and worthy ones. It will never be profaned by adultery or divorce.
Marriage is not just any relationship between human beings. It was established by the Creator with its own nature, properties, and purpose. No ideology can erase the certainty that marriage only exists between a man and a woman that look toward the union of their persons. In recent years, however, discussions on the role of the homosexual person in the Catholic Church have been prevalent, and various questions relating to the topic have been addressed with some frequency that put the teachings of marriage to the test. The Church, during the time of the Second Vatican Council, considers same-sex marriage as an act contrary to canon law. Furthermore, there is no evidence of ecclesiastical authority ever supporting any other definition of marriage. According to the Pastoral Constitution on the Church in the Modern World, the moral goodness of the conjugal act must be determined by objective standards that are based on the nature of the human person and of his acts, which must preserve the value of mutual self-giving and human procreation in the context of true love. Therefore, although a person may not be responsible for their homosexual orientation, homosexual acts are wrong by their very nature due to its failure of fulfilling the biological requirement of procreation.
Marriage is the beginning of having a family. It is a gift of God that should not be taken for granted. The center of marriage must be God. Husband and wife should both love one another. They should be faithful to one another and have an intention to marry for life. with the support of a sincere and active desire to gain ever better knowledge of the values enshrined in and fostered by the law of God. Married people are also called to progress constantly in their moral life. They also need to be supported by a genuine and generous willingness to incorporate these values into their concrete decisions. Marriage is a special form of friendship wherein husband and wife generously share everything, allowing for no unreasonable exemptions, and not just thinking about their own convenience. Whoever really loves his partner loves not only for what he receives, but also for the partner's own sake loves that partner, content to be able to enrich the other with his own gift. It is an act of free will whose trust is not only for joys and sorrows, but also should be willing to grow. With that, husband and wife will become one in heart and in soul to attain their human fulfillment.
The intimate partnership of married life and love has been established by the Creator and qualified by His laws, and is rooted in the conjugal covenant of irrevocable personal consent. Hence, by that human act whereby spouses mutually bestow and accept each other, a relationship arises which by divine will and in the eyes of society too is a lasting one. For the good of the spouses and their offspring as well as of society, the existence of the sacred bond no longer depends on human decisions alone. For God Himself is the author of matrimony, endowed as it is with various benefits and purposes. Thus they increasingly advance the perfection of their own personalities as well as their mutual sanctification, and hence contribute jointly to the glory of God. As a result, with the parents leading the way by example and family prayer, children and indeed everyone gathered around the family hearth will find a readier path to human maturity, salvation and holiness. Graced with the dignity and office of fatherhood and motherhood, parents will energetically acquit themselves of a duty which devolves primarily on them, namely education and especially religious education. This love is uniquely expressed and perfected through the appropriate enterprise of matrimony. The actions within marriage by which the couple are united intimately and chastely are noble and worthy ones. Expressed in a manner which is truly human, these actions promote the mutual self-giving by which spouses enrich each other with a joyful and ready will.